and thank you all for being here today. My name is Caroline Perry, and this is my colleague, Sarah DeVries, and we are Elon Consulting. Today, we will be recommending that your company continue to decline the Coalition of Immokalee Workers' invitation to join the Fair Food Program, and we will continue to recommend that farmers put it in the price. Throughout our presentation, we will be discussing the imminent problems that your company is facing, a recommendation based on the rights approach ethical framework, an implementation plan with feasible steps that your company can take, and lastly, a results section so your company can check to see if our implementation plan was effective. Now I'm going to hand it off to Sarah to talk more about the imminent problems that your company is facing.
Thank you, Caroline. So as you know, in your SWOT analysis, public has a lot of strengths and a lot of weaknesses. But today, with this problem, it's very important to focus on the threats and how we can turn those threats into opportunities. The three main threats that we're going to focus on are CIW-sponsored protests, the Wendy's boycott, which can turn into a boycott of Publix if we continue to refuse to pay the penny, and then our competitors joining the Fair Food Program. So there are main reasons behind these three issues, and they are a lack of communication between stakeholders and then inconsistencies between the ethical standards that our stakeholders have. So we're going to take you through a short stakeholder analysis of our key stakeholders. So first, the government. The government in this situation has a lot of power. They are the ones who create the laws and enforce them. However, because they have so many issues that they have to focus on, they don't have a lot of interest in this. Next, the CIW. The CIW has less power because they are a self-made union. However, because they are directly affected by the inhumane working conditions, they do have a lot of interest in the matter. They also are the ones who brought the problems to the forefront and informed our consumers. So next, our consumers. An individual consumer has less power, but a group of consumers are able to recommend that the government take action and take it now. They also have a lot of interest in this subject because of the way the CIW is portraying the labor dispute. So which ethical approach should we take? We chose the rights ethical approach. The rights approach says that each human being has the dignity to make their own decisions, and those decisions should be respected. Currently, agricultural workers are being stripped of these rights when they're paid incorrectly and aren't treated humanely. Here's a quote from your Put It in the Price statement. As you can see, you use words such as dignity and respect, so you are already following the rights approach. So now for our recommendations. First, we recommend that you recognize your company's power. Next, you should reinforce your Put It in the Price campaign. And finally, you need to communicate your decisions with your stakeholders. I'll now pass it off to Caroline to go into more details with our implementation plan.
Thank you, Sarah. So the first part of our implementation plan is for your company to recognize its power. Last year, as you know, your company earned $32.6 billion in revenue. In addition, your company is the largest purchaser of tomatoes in Florida. With all of that influence in the market comes power. Now, the CIW believes the best way for your company to use its power is to pay an extra penny per pound. However, they are perhaps overlooking the many different types of tomatoes that your company buys. There is a different amount of labor and labor hours that go into harvesting each type of tomato. Therefore, we believe your company should continue to ask farmers to put it in the price. The farmers can be the ones to deem what kind of price the tomato should be sold for based on the type of tomato and then also what kind of season tomato farmers are having. Our next step is for you to reinforce your position. This would be most notably done by expanding your Put It in the Price campaign through a website that contains information about labor laws and labor inspectors. This is a mock-up of what your website would look like with a new Put It in the Price tab. Once users click on this tab, they will be directed to this page. As you can see, users can easily contact the representatives in government to ask for the government to hire more labor inspectors so that these laws can be enforced. Also, you can see there are tabs for consumers to learn more about labor laws and why labor inspectors are so important. Here's an overview of some labor laws that are important for migrant workers. The highlight of this slide is that migrant workers are insured a minimum wage of $7.25, and they are insured housing and transportation. However, right now, oftentimes these laws are being violated, and they are not insured this right now, which is why labor inspectors are so important. The International Labor Organization says that to meet standards, Florida needs to have 700 labor inspectors. However, right now, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration only has hired 64 labor inspectors. That is only about 9% of the recommended amount. So it's important that your company and your consumers are informed of this so they can put pressure on the government to hire more labor inspectors so that these laws can be enforced. The last part of our implementation plan is for your company to communicate with its stakeholders. First, this means meeting with the CIW. In this meeting, you can see how your company's interests align with the CIW and also open the gate to further communication in the future. This would hopefully prevent a boycott situation in the future as well. The next step of this is to continue to collaborate with the Food Marketing Institute. Now, as you know, because you've worked with the Food Marketing Institute in the past, they act as an advocate for big companies like your own with the government. This way, your concerns about labor laws can be brought directly to the government. The last part of this is to update consumers. This can easily be done by adding a short little blurb at the bottom of receipts, pointing consumers in the direction of your new Put It in the Price campaign website. Additionally, we recommend that your company utilize social media. Right now, your company has 2.5 million likes on Facebook and 197,000 followers on Twitter. We recommend that you use these types of social media to inform your consumers of what you're doing and give progress updates. Now I'm going to hand it back to my colleague Sarah to talk a little bit more about the timeline that we expect our implementation plan to be done in.
Thank you, Caroline. So as you can see from our timeline, within the first month, you need to meet with the CIW. At every CIW held protest outside of a public store, all they say is that they want to talk. So that's the first step. The second step, within 2 months, start collaborating again with the Food Marketing Institute. This will get the ball rolling on the government side of things and really push for them to change and enforce the laws. Next, within 6 months, the expanded Put It in the Price campaign will occur. This will take this long because it does take a bit of time to get the website up and running. And finally, within a year, we need to have a progress update with the CIW to ensure we're on the same page. So in order to gauge the results, first you should look at the revenue. Revenue over the past few years has increased by over 5%, so another increase in 5% will show that everything is good. Next, improve relations with the CIW. This will mean that the threat of boycotts is eliminated. And finally, a click-through rate of at least 1 million for the first year. This will show that the campaign online has been effective and that the goals are being met. So in summary, we identified the problems, we went into our recommendation using the rights approach, we went through our implementation plan, which included expanding the Put It in Price campaign, and finally our results. The results should be looked at in the short run and the long run to ensure that the plan is working. Thank you for your time.